Whether it's just to grab a bottle of water or because the midnight breeze feels right, it doesn't matter. The excuse is enough. The moment I tie my laces, the real race begins. Suffocating air, shaking me inside with an impulse. Looking for any reason to slip out, matching my pulse. Heading to the store, the night there feels so sweet. Hiding my true addiction behind the words I repeat. Scent of cold metal, a thrill deep in my veins. I cut through this petty escape, breaking all the chains. As the pressure drops, the street lamps grow more clear. The moment I step outside, the worries disappear. Any reason will do, I'm running to you. Tonight's excuse to run, a cruel promise ripping through the night. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself within the light. No more lies at the very end of this toxic embrace. I capture my perfect freedom with an excuse in the space. Daytime exhaustion, washing away with my sweat. You ask what got into you, heading out into the dark yet. But you don't know this city excuse is my saving grace inside. Tearing through the city silence with one final stride. Tonight on this dark track I pour out all the weight I hide. Make the sound more transparent still. Can you hear it? The scream of my cells coming alive, skipping the mind's will. No more lies, open your eyes. Tonight's excuse to run, a cruel promise ripping through the night. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself within the light. No more lies at the very end of this toxic embrace. I capture my perfect freedom with an excuse in the space. That's more than enough. Tonight's excuse to run. Under the white light reached by piercing the dark. Every breath tastes like shattered glass. But the rest ends here. The next interval is calling my name. Culture windows, white fluorescent beams pouring down. Patterns of gasping breaths on the frozen glass in town. Barely survive the first interval when my chest is about to tear. I gather my strength again under this artificial oasis glare. Scent of cold metal, a thrill deep in my veins. I cut through this ruthless rule, breaking all the chains. As the pressure drops, the store lights grow more brutally bright. When the timer ticks down to zero, I tighten my laces for the fight. Intervals under convenient store lights, a high-speed sprint crossing dark and light. A tempo cutting the dark, the sound completes itself within the breaking night. First interval at the very peak of this cruel training we chase. I kick off the cold glare and spring back into the dark space. Fragmented store lights reflected as after images in my sweat. You say, just rest under that warm light. Drink something cold with no regret. But you don't know that only in the gaps of this pain the real me awakes inside. The brutal catharsis when pushing through the very next set of the stride. Tonight, under the white glare, I confess my obsessions and ride. Kick the ground again. Can you hear it? The intuitive rhythm made by my body, skipping the mind to face the strain. Cold Earbuds in the world's noise comes to a final curtain call. Now, athlete mode on. Nobody can interfere with my orbit. A perfect silence seeping into my ears. Erasing the world's noise, cutting through the fears with noise cancelling. The moment I tie my laces, I become someone else entirely. The heavy rhythm of the Diamongo rules my heart so precisely. Scent of cold metal, a thrill deep in my veins. I cut through this fierce immersion, breaking all the chains. As the pressure drops, my senses grow sharper still. Every time the music passes through me, the ground bends to my will. Shut out the crowd, my heart beats loud. Earbuds in athlete mode on a ruthless sprint, mocking every limit away. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself over the breaking clay. Noise cancelling, I am the main character on this giant track tonight. I complete my own night with the hippest rhythm inside. Yesterday's after images washing away with my sweat. You say, aren't you too lost in the music? Watch out with regret. But you don't know that only inside this transparent sound the real me awakes. The brutal catharsis of a split second when hitting the wall breaks. Tonight on this virtual track, I confess the obsessions it takes. Inhale the sound deeper. Can you hear it? The intuitive rhythm made by my body, skipping the mind to become the sleeper. Focus on the beat, move your feet. Earbuds in athlete mode on a ruthless sprint, mocking every limit away. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound competes itself over the breaking clay. Noise cancelling, I am the main character on this giant track tonight. I complete my own night with the hippest rhythm inside. Mode transition complete. Between the heartbeat and the streetlight glare, in that exact gap of silence, I erase the world's speed and find my own pace. When the geomungo inside traces my pulse, the real race begins. Between heartbeats and streetlights, never stopping, not even for a split second. Fragmented street lamps flickering in a steady cold line, scraping my soles against the asphalt, feeling the design, erasing the massive shadows of the towering concrete space. Finally inhaling midnight's pure oxygen at my own pace, shutting down the tedious digital numbers that bound me all day. When the cool breeze of the jungle sweeps my exhaustion away, the heavier cosmic strike of the geomungo hits my chest just right. Cynical metal and electric are running deep through my veins. I cut through these lonely lights, breaking all the chains. My own long shadow stretching out, slicing through the dark floor, throwing away the daytime fake self that suffocated and sore. The brutal catharsis of friction every time my feet kick the ground. Thinking is a luxury now, follow the raw orbit my body found. When the sweat drops blurred under the lamp, scatter like silver dust. My pulse has already found its perfect, the drum beat tempo, a rhythmic must. No guide to follow here, this midnight race is ruled by my instincts will. Immersed in this fierce silence, I spring toward the next corner for the thrill. As the pressure drops, the city's noise fades away into the fog so wide. Every time my breath hits my throat, tearing my chest with all its might. Vivid sparks of liberation awakening every single nerve wire tonight. Between heartbeats and streetlights, a high-speed sprint shattering the apathy inside. A tempo cutting the dark, the sound completes itself over the breaking tide. I feel alive, at the dead center of this toxic addiction we chase. I burn the brightest under the lamps, completely ruling this dark space. Hear the beat, see the light, we own the night. You ask me why, squeeze squeeze myself dry, sprinting through the dark void away, while I push my exhausted body into another brutal limit of decay. But you will never know that this gasping breath is my only proof of life, my fire. The rebellion of senses locking tighter as the walls grow higher, unleashing the true spirit of the soul that's suffocated under the paper stack. Midnight downtown where the neons fade, I carve my own track until I drop, until the very rubber of these shoes is dead and gone. I won't stop, this obsessive stride is the only key to save my dawn. Empty out all the digital noise inside your brain, keep your senses transparent. Inhale the cold temperature of the lamps through the strain. Can you hear it? The cleanest rhythm made by my body, skipping the mind to move straight ahead. Heartbeat drops, streetlight shines, time to unleash the elite runner inside. Between heartbeats and streetlights, a high-speed sprint shattering the apathy inside. A tempo cutting the dark, the sound completes itself over the breaking tide. I feel alive at the dead center of this toxic addiction we chase. I burn the brightest under the lamps, completely ruling this dark space. Hear the beat, see the light, we own the night. Seems perfectly between the pulse and the glare. Nobody can hold me back now. Between heartbeats and streetlights. When the city breathes, my heart starts to beat. A perfect 140-40 tempo. Tuning all my frequencies to the pulse of the concrete. Dungle, 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 dungle. Midnight silence pouring over the asphalt floor. The giant pulse of the city knocking on my door. Right at 140 BPM, when my heart is about to break. The drum go inside, plays the wildest rhythm it can make. Scent of cold metal, I feel deep in my veins. I cut through the heart of this gray jungle, breaking all the chains. As the pressure drops, the street lights grow more clear. With every heavy kick off the ground, the city noise disappears. Into the rhythm, I'm breaking the system. City heartbeat at 140 BPM, a high speed sprint, slicing the city's pulse. A tempo cutting the dark, the sound completes itself within the impulse. Right at 140 BPM, at the very peak of this brutal immersion we chase. I come alive perfectly, synced with the heart of this space. High-rise building lights reflected as after images in my sweat. You say why? Run so breathless between the cold concrete with regret. But you don't know the screen is what connects me to the city's core. The brutal catharsis when hitting the wall, demand for more. Tonight on this giant track, I confess my obsessions and explore. Make the sound more transparent still. Can you hear it? The clear rhythm made by the city and me, skipping the mind's will. Feel the pulse. Run the rules. City heart. Open up the midnight fridge. Tonight's recipe is 2 scoops of heart-racing Sprint and a can of ice-cold night air. Shut down all the tangled thoughts. It's time to throw myself onto this clear orbit. 2 scoops of running, 1 can of night air. Never stop this perfect addiction. Now, yeah. Escaping the suffocating jungle onto the midnight street. The asphalt beat awakening my feet so discreet. Erasing the tedious text that flickered inside the glass. Finally inhaling the crisp scent of night air at last. Shutting down the boring system that bound me all day long. The heavy, the strike of the Diamongo hits my chest where it belongs. Cynical metal, an electric thrill running deep through my veins. I cut through the sweet liberation, breaking all the chains. My own long shadow stretching out, cutting through the streetlights glow. Throwing away the daytime fake self that dance to everyone else's tempo. The raw catharsis of friction every time my soul kicks the ground. Thinking is a luxury now, follow the precise orbit my body found. When the sweat drops scattered under the white lamps blur like silver dust. My pulse has already found its perfect one. Every tempo a rhythmic must. No guide to follow here, this midnight race is ruled by my instincts will. Immersed in this fierce silence, I spring toward the next corner for the thrill. As the pressure drops, the city's noise fades away into the white fog. Every time my gasping breath rises past my throat, clearing the heavy log. Vivid sparks of freedom awakening every single nerve wire tonight. Place them up tight, taste in the night. Take a deep breath, everything feels right. 2 scoops of running, 1 can of night air. A high-speed sprint shattering the apathy inside. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself over the breaking tide. 1 can of freedom at the center of this brutal immersion we track. I drink down a can of night air. Never looking back to the pack. Yeah. They ask me why I squeeze myself dry, sprinting through the dark void away. Why I fill my exhausted body with another brutal limit of decay. But they will never know that this gasping breath is my only proof of life. My fire, the rebellion of senses locking tighter as the walls grow higher. Unleashing the true spirit of the soul that's suffocated under the paper stack. Midnight downtown where the neons fade, I carve my own track until I drop. Until the very rubber of these shoes is dead and gone. I won't stop, this obsessive stride is the only key to save my dawn. Empty out all the digital noise inside your brain. Keep your senses transparent. Inhale the cold temperature of the night through the strain. Can you hear it? The cleanest rhythm made by my body. Skipping the mind to move straight ahead. 2 scoops of energy, 1 can of freedom. Time to unleash the elite runner inside. 2 scoops of running, 1 can of night air. A high-speed sprint shattering the apathy inside. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself over the breaking tide. 1 can of freedom at the dead center of this brutal immersion we track. I drink down a can of night air. Never looking back to the back. Cold night air, perfect sprint. Nobody can hold me back now. 2 scoops of running, 1 can of night air. Leave all the complicated thoughts behind. All that matters right now is the next stride. In my burning lungs, running now. Overthinking later, just run. midnight, overthinking, biting its own tail inside. An endless loop of anxiety where dark doubts hide. When the noise in my head reaches its very peak, I tie my laces tight, shutting down the thoughts I seek. Scent of cold metal, a thrill deep in my veins. I cut through this tangled brain circuitry, breaking all the chains. As the pressure drops, the fog inside my mind begins to clear. With every heavy kick off the ground, the worries disappear. Brain on fire, but my feet never tire. Running now, overthinking later, a high-speed sprint. Empty in my mind, a tempo cut in the dark, the sound competes itself as the limits unwind. The linking at the end of this brutal immersion we chase. I face the real me, with every single thought erased. Yesterday's regrets washing away with my sweat. You say, does running solve anything? Why are you escaping yet? But you don't know this sprint is what purifies my soul from within. The perfect silence that comes when the limit begins to win. Tonight on this track, I pour out all the anxiety under my skin. Erase the thoughts entirely. Can you hear it? The clear, intuitive rhythm my body makes, skipping the mind completely. Silence in my head, full speed instead. Running now, overthinking later, a high-speed sprint. Empty in my mind, the tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself as the limits unwind. Linking at the end of this brutal immersion we chase. I face the real me, with every single thought erased. Overthink tomorrow tonight. There is only the sprint right now. Overthinking later. Log out of every timeline. The moment I disconnect from the world, my real breath begins. Sweating my day offline. From here on, it's just the ground in me. Throwing away the tedious day, trapped inside the glass, leaving all the digital data fragments in the past. Disconnect, turning every single alert into a silent night. The heavy vibration of the Mungo wakes my pulse upright. Cynical metal, a thrill deep in my veins. I cut through this analog order, breaking all the chains. As the pressure drops, the data in my head begins to erase. Every time a drop of sweat hits the ground, I find my transparent space. Turning off the screen, watching my soul clean. Sweating my day offline, a high-speed sprint, ripping through the digital debris. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself as the limits break free. No more fears at the very end of this brutal immersion we track. I rule the cold asphalt, never looking back to the network pack. Hot, real breath flowing over my skin as I slide. You ask, you must be exhausted from being online. Why push your body with pride? But you don't know that only these sweat drops prove the real me inside. The brutal catharsis when logging out right at the peak of the wall. Tonight under the streetlight glare, I confess my obsessions and give it my all. Shut down the system completely. Can you hear it? The scream of my cells coming alive, leaving the pixels behind so neatly. No more feeds, run your knees. Sweating my day offline, a high-speed sprint, ripping through the digital debris. A tempo cut in the dark, the sound completes itself as the limits break free. No more feeds at the very end of this brutal immersion we track. I rule the cold asphalt, never looking back to the network